Welcome to the Porn Stars Are People podcast. My name is Dan Frigolette. I'm here with Val Dodds.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for being here. This thing is actually in the worst spot. Hey!
Now I can see you.
We're here in Edison, New Jersey. Here's what I'll say. Everything they say about New Jersey is true in Edison.
Yes.
Like it's not a pretty place. It's not a particularly culture place.
Agreed. A lot of people told me that it wasn't the most beautiful place in the world, and then as soon as I landed, I was like, they didn't lie.
It basically, and it's not that it is this, because I don't even think it's actually that close to the airport, but it just feels like an airport. It's just highway spun around, and then just a bunch of like convention hotels.
Right.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So I don't know how often you are on the East Coast, but this is not a representation.
Yeah. So this is my first time actually to Jersey.
No shit.
Yeah, and then and this is also my first Exotica.
Yeah.
This isn't my first convention, but my first.
So
Exotica.
what was the other convention that you went to?
So I've done AVNs,
Nice.
and I did the XX show in Texas.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. I'm still. I think I think I could say I'm on the outskirts of this. This
well,
thing.
they did their first one last year.
Oh, okay, very cool. So I'm not
in Houston.
I'm not completely off.
Yeah.
Off base.
It was pretty good. It was fun.
So I did a little pre-questioning, and you said you're from Nebraska.
I am from Lincoln, Nebraska.
So I've played Lincoln, Nebraska. I played a place called Zubar. Which
I know where Zubar is.
It's like a famous
downtown
place.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me about Nebraska.
So what do you play? First of all, I'm gonna interview
I'm a comedian.
you now.
I'm a comedian.
Oh,
Yo, they didn't tell.
comedian.
Well,
Okay.
just as much as they didn't tell me when they just said we're doing a bunch of these interviews.
Yeah.
About who I was interviewing. They didn't tell you about who I was.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a comedian. This is the Porn Stars Are People podcast.
Okay. So you did a comedy show there.
Yeah, so we did a show, comedy, at the Zoo Bar. Very, very cool. Not a perfect room for comedy, but it's like a legendary room in general for that area.
I have a comedian friend that lives in Lincoln, and
Nice.
he's performed there too.
Very cool.
And also, I've had a couple friends do, they're in bands and stuff,
Yeah,
so they play there for that.
I could
well.
see it being like a really dope band room. Comedy-wise,
yeah.
it sucks because it's bar, and then it's kind of miniature in the back, and it's longer than it's narrower than it is. Like it's long and narrow, which you want it to be the opposite. You want it to be wide and short, right? So you want to be able to like reach all the audience members as a comedian.
Right.
So tell me about Nebraska.
Yeah, so I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska, born and raised. I'm a big Husker fan.
Okay.
I actually I moved to Vegas this past February,
Nice.
and I did a road trip in October. I think it was like October 13th. Yeah, it was October 13th.
Nice.
So it was Friday the 13th that I
nice.
drove back home and went to the Ohio game.
Oh,
so
very cool.
We lost to Ohio, and then I drove back the next day.
Oh, that
home,
stinks.
so,
Yeah, that's the problem when you become a big fan of sports. I spent a lot of my life not being a huge fan, but then when you get sucked into, I'm sucked into Syracuse University basketball.
Okay.
And when you get sucked in and you have a bad game or you have a bad year or you travel for it, then the whole ride home is just like, ugh.
Yeah, like some of my friends, like I made them buy tickets to the game, and
yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, and the whole reason you came is for this thing that disappoints you. It's just,
in the end, they were like, Val, this was the one thing you
fun,
wanted to do the entire time you were here.
Yeah.
And like we had fun no matter what.
Right.
We did like a tailgate before.
Yeah.
My cousin's my best friend, and so we went out like all over that night. Like
yeah.
pre-tailgated and then went out after that.
Cool.
So
wait, hold on. What's a pre-tailgate? This is what I don't understand. The pre-game for the game for the pre, all of the pre's I don't understand.
So we pre-tailgated at her house,
So
and we
you
drank with my family.
You woke up and you drank.
Yeah, we just
and
started
then you
drinking
drove
beers.
somewhere and drank.
Got an Uber.
And then got to
Be
the
smart.
game and drank.
Yes.
And then.
We can't drink at the game though.
Oh, you can't drink at the game.
Yeah, it's
I didn't know
dry
that. I
campus.
didn't know that. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I did not know that at all.
Yeah.
So wait.
Because I was really like when I went to Texas for their game, I was like, wait, you guys can
People
have
were drinking beer here? Yeah,
it's
it's like the first time you go to another state and the rules are different at the strip club and they're like, what? These girls are topless and there's beer? What?
Right.
So wait, so then that's I I don't even know.
So we get like drunk as fuck to go to the game.
Right, and then go inside. So that makes sense. I mean, so then I get whether that's where pre-gaming comes from if you can't go in and actually drink.
Right,
and like when you're young and you can't go to the place, you can't drink pre-game. But as an adult, I never understood this whole pre-game to pre-game to pre-game to game thing.
Right.
That's crazy. So wait, Lincoln is where you're from.
Yes.
Where is the Cornhuskers Stadium?
In Lincoln.
It is in Lincoln. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Okay.
So I grew up like a little bit right outside, like on the outskirts of Lincoln.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that town becomes an entirely different place during a game.
Yes,
right?
yes. So everyone is pretty much downtown. Even if you're not a Husker fan, you're like downtown.
Yeah.
No matter what. Yeah.
So that's cool. Well, but they say that what is it? Because that stadium is like a couple 100,000 people.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's pretty new too. So
yeah.
we just it's really nice. It was funny because when I went to a Catholic high school.
Yeah.
And so when we were younger, we actually had to work the Husker games and
right.
like sell like stadium seats.
Oh,
and then I would have to go and pick up all the stadium seats after the game. And so we'd like go up and down the bleachers.
Oh, wow.
Huge stadium.
That's
so
crazy.
I've seen everything like during the game and then after the game and like just
it's like a culture of the entire town.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So I guess I gotta be there for that. I gotta next time I go make sure that
you gotta eat a runza at the game too.
The problem is for something like that is if I go to the town to do a show and then there's a game pretty close to around when I'm doing the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then I'm competing with myself for that thing because
everyone's
gonna
be
go
there.
To the show. Yeah, they're gonna go to the game. They're not gonna go to my show.
Right.
So yeah, so that's it. So Lincoln, Nebraska. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I got what did I do? I think I got pulled over in Nebraska.
Probably.
This last round. This is what I found this interesting. I think speed limit was 75 or something. I think is it 75?
Mm-hmm.
And I was going. And now in New York State, it's 65, and you go 78. You go by the cops. Nobody cares.
Right.
I'm in Nebraska, and I'm trying to get to Portland, and it's 75. So I'm like, oh, dude, I can go 90. I'm good. I'll go 88, whatever. I get pulled over, and I would think I was going less than 10 over. I was going like 84,
right.
83. And I get pulled over, and I'm like so confused.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are my taillights out? Like, what's going on? Is there something else?
They're like, no,
car
you're speeding.
Yeah, and the guy pulls me over, and he's like, I go, hey, the speed limit's 75, right? And he goes, yeah, he's like, we're going to need you back around 75.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? What did you? And I'm not going to, say this to the cop, but like in my head, I'm going, no, that's the start. That's not the ending point.
Right.
That's the starting point for the speed limit. Doesn't make any sense. What madness would there be where the speed limit is exactly the same as how fast they expect you to go? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I've actually got pulled over when just going 80.
Yeah, that's
5 over.
And they, I think I got a warning, but they basically acted as if. I was going to the next tier of speeds. It was a very strange conversation.
And you think that's minor? If you even go I've gotten an MIP and they
what's an MIP?
I got I was a minor with liquor.
Oh.
Going to a concert.
Okay.
And that was like the worst thing in the entire world.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, Nebraska is a quiet little place.
Yeah, it's nice.
We did because so on one of the tours we were driving ultimately to actually Alaska on this trip, and so we did Kansas City, and then we did Omaha, Lincoln, and I think that might be it. I think that's all of the.
Omaha's the bigger city.
I think that's all of the cities in Nebraska that are of any size. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is there a third one? Omaha,
There's
Lincoln.
Like Grand Island.
No, I guess that was this.
No.
I guess it was Kansas City, Omaha, and Lincoln. It's just because my buddy had another comedian had some family there.
Yeah.
But it was cool. This is what you learn when you start doing stuff like this. And I don't know how many of these. It seems like when you go to these conferences are in bigger places, but doing comedy, we go to all size cities, and all we learn is that there's an Applebee's everywhere.
Right.
And Edison is the same as Omaha, is the same as Austin, is the same as fucking Springfield, Missouri. It's sad and kind of exhilarating that every place is about the same.
Right.
Anchorage, Alaska is the same as Syracuse, New York.
I always look for chain restaurants though, because then I know they're always gonna be like what I expect.
See, and I do the exact opposite, and this is where I run into trouble. I don't like any of the chain restaurants. So what happens is I try to find like a Dave's barbecue spot.
Yeah.
And they are few and far in between.
Okay.
Although I will say this, if you find Dave's barbecue spot, Dave is killing it, because to be Dave's barbecue spot in 2017 when there's an Applebee's next door, you got to be absolutely crushing it.
Okay.
So
it's good.
Yeah, you guys. So if you can find the one owner, the guy, like the diner, drive-ins, and dives kind of places.
Okay.
Where there's just like a Greek guy, and like he owns the place, and he calls it, whatever his last name is, Katsilko. I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of a guy I knew, Spiro, like Spiro's Diner. That guy's crushing it. He really is.
Nice.
Yeah. There's occasional dud, but food trucks is where honestly some of the best food is happening in this country.
That's what
now.
I want to try. So I went to New York for my first time in September.
Sure.
And I was walking by and I just smelled it.
Yeah.
And there's like
Yeah.
hot dogs and hamburgers and everything, and I definitely want to try
Well,
it.
you're talking about like just like a regular food cart, like a sabret, a sabret, or even like a halal. Now those are good. Don't get me wrong. But where food trucks are really happening now, you could probably find some good fun ones in Brooklyn and stuff like that.
Okay.
But places like Dallas, places like Oklahoma City, places like Albuquerque are places where food trucks are huge right now.
Okay.
And it's people that like are really putting the time in and like making really good, fun, awesome food. Wait, where do you live?
I live in Las Vegas now.
Okay. So
we actually just had a food truck blow up I think it was in Vegas.
Explode.
Yeah.
Not like get super popular.
No, like the whole thing exploded.
What happened?
That's a good question. I just remember seeing it on the news, and I'm pretty sure it was on my local news, so don't quote me for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was in Vegas. But this food truck just exploded like in this little area
Did a bunch of people get fucked up?
Just a person inside.
Wow.
I don't know what.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
well,
I guess
that's
not a lot of people.
That's out of the ordinary. I wouldn't say that most food truck businesses are just going to randomly explode. I think the likelihood of a food truck exploding is the same as the likelihood.
I think they're
of like
looking more
McDonald's.
into it and seeing what caused.
Especially if only one guy is hurt. That's usually that's a telltale sign that something happened.
Just like an accident
or suicide. Something happened.
That's true.
I guess if I owned a food truck and I was going to end it, that would be the way to go.
You would want to take the food truck with you?
Pack all the food in.
Yeah.
Blow yourself up in the food truck. Nobody else is around. And maybe, depending on the severity of the explosion, maybe some of the burritos actually get cooked. You don't know what's going to happen.
True. That's very true. That'd be good.
Okay, so I was asking, I try to ask everybody this, and I try to figure out, because, I think we're all lost from time to time in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us are trying to figure out what we should be doing, what we should be thinking about. Do you have like a mantra? Do you have a thing? Do you have like an ideology that keeps you sane?
Like in the business, or
no, just in your life. Like, is there a thing? Is there a way that you eat? Is there like an exercise regimen that you do? Is there a thing that you do every Tuesday that just keeps you from fucking stabbing everybody sitting next to you on the plane?
Yeah, I don't really have like too much that I really go into with like the way I live, I guess.
Yeah.
What I normally do is I just try since my schedule is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I try to keep it more at just like a regular time for me. I wake up, go to the gym.
Yeah.
And then I can when I'm at home, and then I'll go to bed normally by like 10.
So you keep a set regimen schedule.
I like to try and go to bed at 10.
Interesting.
So normally 10 is like.
And then what time do you wake up?
Anywhere from like 6 to 9.
Wow. Okay. So you're like in that 9 to 5 grind without having that job. Which is interesting.
I try to keep it that way, but it sucks because like tonight I'm featuring. I'm featuring at Sapphires.
Oh
tonight.
No shit! Oh, I didn't know that.
In New York.
Which one? The one on the east or the west?
60,
okay.
On 60th Street.
Yeah.
So I'm featuring there.
Oh, very
cool. And so the bus picks us up at 10:45.
Yeah.
So I don't know what time I'm gonna get home.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bed before 10. They're picking me up at 10:45. So then dancing and stuff, that sort of messes up my schedule. But and it does happen a lot. So it's not just like, get over it. But I do. So I just try to do like Monday to Friday.
It's interesting.
Regular schedule.
So why would you
school?
So then knowing that, why would you not push it? So like I do this thing where I only eat 8 hours, but my 8 hours don't align with most people's lives. So I just push it. So I only eat from like 3 to like 11 p.m.
Right.
Because that's kind of what fits in my life, because I know I'm going to be up till 2, 3 a.m. So why don't you just shift everything?
Right. I think because every time I shift a time, I'm flying from like East Coast to West Coast and like all this other stuff. The time doesn't really matter.
I guess that's true.
So when I'm just at home, I know that I'm going to be on a better schedule and go to bed before 10 and try to do like a school thing. Like when you were younger where you're like, okay, I guess you
solved it.
Go to bed at this time and then wake up. And otherwise I eat like whatever I want. I do, if I'm staying at home, I'll do 2 days at the gym. So I'll like wake up, go to the gym, and then cam, and then go back to the gym, and then go to bed.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I just did that like right before I was coming here. And that's my favorite time because then I like get to stay home and do my thing. Yeah, that's the more that I travel, the more that when I'm home, I'm a hermit. Yeah. Like I don't. Now in New York, and I live in New York City. It's a more exciting place than say Springfield, Missouri. But because I'm traveling now. I mean, I don't know. I probably did 200 days on the road this year, and I'm going back out in December. And it's like I come home and I'm just like, you're not gonna find me. Like I'm just staying home. I'm gonna watch whatever a couple television shows that I feel like I'm into, and I'm just gonna kind of hermit out and just order in. Do you have a favorite show on Netflix at all right now? Well, I'm actually okay. So I'm like a Discovery Channel nerd. Okay. And so I love all. So this is what I love about Discovery Channel. These shows in general are like businesses or people that have some kind of skill set, some kind of knowledge, and they've applied that to the show, and then that makes them or their business better at the end, right? So like whether it be these fishing guys, I don't watch that one, but I watch the shows where they take a car, they'll buy it and they'll flip it and they'll make it into a nicer vehicle, and so the exposure of the television show has made them be this humongous in a completely different position financially because of the fact that people are always going to their site and always trying to buy their cars, and now just being on the show makes the car worth more money. So I love all those shows. So there's like Motor Mondays is like my thing that I'm always trying to be home for. Yeah. What do you have? Do you have? You asked because you have one. I feel like. So on Netflix, I was watching that Narcos one. Yes, I watched the first season. That's a good one. I didn't get back in when the second season started. I think I was still on the first one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's just whenever I'm home and I'm like about to go to bed, I'll play one and then fall asleep or something. But Narcos, and then this other one, my cousin, I was going through a breakup, and so she was like, Val, you need to watch this show. It's called Love. And I was like, I don't want to watch this right now. Sounds like, terrible. What is wrong with you? The worst idea. Yeah. And she's like, no, it's so funny. And I like saying that to guys too, because they're not going to watch this show. Yeah. Called Love or something, but it is so funny. Well, and I don't know the show. So what is the show? It's pretty much about these couples that break up. Yeah. And they're like sort of in these like new relationships and just going through shit, and like just it's hard to describe because something always happens in a different episode. Okay, interesting. But it's always just relationship things. Yeah. And it just has like this funny twist on everything. Cool. Well, I'll definitely check that out. Yeah. Netflix is can get pretty raunchy too, so I think guys would really like it. Yeah, that actually, and this is weird. This is a weird thing to admit. I don't think I've admitted this before, but like HBO was like the HBO Showtime. We had all the premium channels when I was growing up, and that was my one opportunity at the time. This predate. I'm 35. This predates. I guess I'm 34. This predates. The all of the internet porn at the level that it's at. So I would have to like kind of wait around for like some good shows to come on. So what I found was that Sex and the City. Oh, okay. Yes. Every once in a while, it has some titties in it, and so I would watch Sex and the City religiously for like just the hope that Kim Cattrall's gonna take her shirt off in the scene, or learn. Right. So I became like a Sex and the City fan. See, no, and I agree with that, but that's why I like throwing that in there for the love movie, because I'm like, if I told my like best guy friends to be like, go watch this show called Love, they'd it's about like, relationships. The fuck is wrong with you? You're like, look, there's some titties in it every once in a while. Yeah, okay? And they'd be like, okay, I'm done. All right. Don't pull my arm. I will. Yeah, that's how Demi Moore made like a good portion of her career, was that the movies weren't that great, but she took her shirt off, and we were like, all right, that's fine, we'll do it. And then a couple of those people waited too long. Like Meg Ryan and Marissa Tomei waited too long. Well, all we wanted to do in the 80s and 90s was see these two ladies naked. That's all we wanted. And then in their 40s and 50s, they're like, yeah, we'll be naked now every movie. And you're like, no, we love you, Meg Ryan, but we loved you pre-surgery, pre-lips.
Anyway, so it's called Love. So I'll check that out.
Yeah,
Netflix has gone way in this year and this next coming year into their content. Oh,
I mean, it's easy. You don't need a disc or anything for movies. You can stream from
they spend so much money on making their own content.
Yeah.
And so that's like you go on there and you can't even find anything that's
so
like
Netflix. That Love show is actually by Netflix.
Yeah. So that's all original content now. Well, which brings me to this. This is happening this week. This episode will probably drop in January, but this is a real moment that's happening. The Kevin Spacey thing that's happening right now. Kevin Spacey, everybody's coming out of the woodwork, said he did this, didn't do this, said this, grabbed me, didn't grab me. I was this age when he says these things. Right. So in the midst of that, Netflix dropped, what's the name of the show that he's on? House of Cards.
Yes.
Which really... Now, I'm not going to defend Kevin Spacey, but I want to find out what happens with the rest of the goddamn show.
Right.
And now we're on this cliffhanger.
And you're like, wait,
there's no more. There's no more. There's no more House of Cards ever. And it's just a real shame.
Yeah.
But maybe
it's hard to put a lot of money into a show like that and then just take it off.
Well, maybe that's the silver lining is that now
it doesn't matter about money.
There's a credibility to who you are as a person.
Yes.
In your work, and I think that should be the message here. Is that?
And I think that's really good because also right now, just like the Kevin Spacey thing, Exotica didn't let Ron Jeremy come.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not behind the politics because why would happen? He's having some similar allegations.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's just always one person comes out and then just all these people start coming out.
Especially right now.
He won't be here this year.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I've actually done podcasts with him. And done radio shows with him, and he's never been weird to me.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone in the industry is always like hugging and doing whatever.
Sure.
So to me, I was just like, hey, give him a hug, but nothing too crazy. But I have heard him be different with some other girls.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, and not to defend either side of this, but in comedy, I know that, and this is how I just keep myself out of it, is I won't date anybody in comedy. I have no interest in dating anybody in comedy. I have no interest in sleeping with anybody in comedy, and so that keeps that unethical line from getting crossed. A lot of people have some people in the same industry as them, people that they work with, and sometimes it goes great. And it's the path to success, and sometimes it goes horrible.
Right.
And so I don't get in the mix of that. So not to defend anybody, but this could be a stranger place to try and navigate in that world. If in this world, in the adult world, in the sex industry, to have to be able to figure out. What is
shut it off?
Yeah, and what crosses those lines, and what is in it. So I think it's an interesting.
It's hard because everyone has their own rules with everything,
right? And it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what you're doing on paper and on camera versus improv versus all of these things, then becomes maybe the line.
Correct.
But again, not to defend. I have no information on this thing, so whoever's in trouble is probably in trouble for good reason.
Right.
And we support everybody who's.
I think it's really good that other companies are coming up and backing Netflix and things like that, because then it just shows that those people can't get away with things.
Right. And they, and
to open up other people's eyes for things, because I've even had other people that have messaged me, and just because all of this shit is happening, I've had people messaging me, apologizing to me for things that they've sort of done to me. And to me, they're like, I don't know if it made you feel weird. And to me, I'm like, if you even think you made me feel uncomfortable, and that you're apologizing because you probably did,
then you're guilty.
Yeah. And so to me, I think it's good because it's also showing these other people that you can't get away with things. So hopefully it opens up everyone's mind.
Well, I think it's all
realizes boundaries.
And it's all communication, though. It's like, the after the fact is not the time to have the discussion. It's when it's happening.
Yeah.
It's during the process of, is this beyond the level, or is this, is this creepy? And, speaking as a dude, the last thing we ever want to be, generally speaking, is creepy. It's not nobody. Whenever if
no one wants to be.
Nobody wants
creepy.
to be creepy, and then if somebody calls you creepy, you're like, wait, what? No, it's not. Let's start.
I'm not weird.
Yeah, so it's it's the worst.
Yeah.
So at least look at it from this. But it's tough. It's an interesting line now too, because comedians were getting taken off of shows for having opinions or saying jokes that people didn't particularly find funny over the years. We got radio guys have gotten ripped off the air. People have gotten fired across the board for saying things comedically that someone just decides just wasn't funny, and so now they lose their job. Mm-hmm. So we also need to kind of police that aspect of things and make sure that what's being accused is true to what's going on, because now we're in a weird position where everybody's politically correct, and it's like if they can just take all of entertainers' jobs because they don't like the work that they're doing, then that puts us in a really precarious situation.
You're not artistically doing like your thing.
Yeah. Well, and it makes it harder, because let's say somebody watches one of your movies, they don't like what happened in the movie, and then now they just think they have the power to go, well, I don't like that, and she shouldn't work anymore. We can't give too much of the power away. It's a tough spot. It brings a lot of questions and issues out.
I think that would be the hardest thing for me, being like a comedian, is like you just piss off so many people that have their own like.
Well, you shouldn't if you're not if you're doing it properly. This is an argument I have a lot of times.
Whatever. There's so many people that just it's 2017.
Yeah.
Everyone is their feelings are hurt by anything.
Yes, that's
so
true.
It's just like, to me, I don't care about anything. Even if I love something and someone makes fun of it, like it does not bother me. Or even jokes, like if I'm at a comedy show. At a comedy show.
Right. Yeah, you got to look.
Why are you?
That's the thing we try to say to people. We
this to your heart.
Yeah, we try to say to people, like, you're not allowed to be butthurt in this room. This is a comedy show. These are jokes. Everybody here is working hard. They're doing what they love, and they're here.
This is nothing about you.
Maybe the
just
thing
laugh.
that they said isn't the thing that you appreciate. That's fine. Keep that shit inside and deal with it. In your own miserable life. Because at the end of the day, what comedians are trying to do is they're trying to bring to light something that they find in their life. Like I have I keep rewriting these jokes about my grandfather having Alzheimer's, because it's something that's trauma in my life, and I need to make it funny for me to like get through the day. And I know that means somebody else is out there with somebody with Alzheimer's,
and then they can laugh about it together.
To them is going to be catharsis for them as well, and that's all comedians are trying to do. And but we really are. We got targets on our backs as comedians for people to say that's not funny, because they think they can just go, oh, you're not funny.
Right.
And they can take away all the power that you have as a comic. And it's the only profession where you start by people being like, he's probably not good, and you have to just prove yourself every time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you had to deal with that, if they were just like, oh, this girl's not gonna make anybody come. Like if that's the starting point for how they do like that would be horrible. And that's what comedian.
Fired.
She's not gonna make anybody come.
Right.
And that's a comedian. That's just what we are. They're just like you're not gonna make me laugh. That's it sucks.
Wow.
And I'm obsessed with it. So it's it's one of those it's one of those
Right.
horrible things.
Right.
All right. Well, listen. This is fun. This is a fun conversation. I think we brought up a lot of things that probably don't have answers. I'm glad that we didn't fist fight each other about them.
Never.
How do we find you on the internet? What's your
so now you can get my Snapchat at ValerieSnaps.com. I have a website.
ValerieSnaps.com. Cool.
Yep. I have a website that's ValDodds.com.
Okay.
And then on Twitter at ValDoddsXXX.
At ValDoddsXXX. Nothing else? Pinterest, Instagram,
I have Instagram
Classmates.com.
too at ValDoddsX. I'm on Pinterest. I have everything. Yeah.
So check those out. I appreciate you doing this episode. I will see you around the halls of Exotica. This is the Porn Stars Review podcast. I'm gonna try to go to AVN.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna do everything I can to try to be involved in this industry as much as I can. Well, besides maybe get behind or in front of the camera. But check us out. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We're on Stitcher. Whatever thing you found us on, we are on the other thing. We have some YouTube content for this episode if you want to check that out. There's very, very beautiful outfits between the two of us.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, go listen to us in your car on the iTunes and all the things. Tell your friends. This is the Porn Stars and People podcast. I'm Dan Frigolette. Thank you again to my guest, Val Dodds.
Thank you for having me.
Check her out, follow her, and spend money on her content. This is what I found out recently, is that people aren't spending money. If you like somebody, keep them in the business. Spend a couple bucks.
True.
All right, thank you.